Peace, peace, peace. Peace to all of you watching. Welcome to the Living Mystery Church. This is the first of hopefully many videos to come. I want to, just kind of start out with letting you know this is my first attempt at any kind of video making or technology, mostly in general. Most of what I do is in, real life, person to person, or let's say living soul to living soul. Part of what I do is teach about who we are and who we're not. And, when we're done here, hopefully, or as we progress here, hopefully, we'll never be done, right? You'll kind of get a gist that if you're any kind of a person, you're a natural person. However, living soul is probably the highest one could hope to be here based on the good book, as we put it. So, I want to give the disclaimer that nothing that I say here is to be construed as legal advice. It is for education and entertainment only. Anything you choose to do or how you choose to take any of this information is completely your responsibility. That is part of what I'm hoping to convey here, is that we are to be representatives of God. And when I say God, Allah, the living mystery, the great mystery, the Most High, the Spirit, the Force, Jesus Christ in some people's, perspective, and so on. So, if I use God in this term or the living mystery in this one, or, I mean, let's say the Creator or the Source, and I do prescribe to the notion that we come from some source, be it a divine entity, energy, the Alpha and Omega, beginning and end. God said, I am, right? So we don't limit this being by even words, ideally, and we just do our best within our limited scope of conveying information to use words that we can get as close as possible to describing what we're talking about. I don't mean to offend. I don't mean to rub anyone the wrong way. However, I probably will, and I'm finally ready to make that stand. That's one of the reasons I've stayed so private, is I really don't want to hurt anyone. However, sometimes we need to get our feelings hurt in order to come back home or find our way, or just kind of get that knock upside the head and say, hey, what is going on here? And I'm someone who, as king, lives as a king amongst men, doesn't ask a whole lot of permission for very much. I've been constantly asking questions. When I was very young, I was given the big book of questions and answers, because I just had so many, and not very many people had too many answers for me. My nativity occurred at a time that was, pre-internet, so I didn't have all the ability I have now to just type away and kind of get a lot of different perspectives on a question I might come up with or may come through my vessel. I thought I would start by, hopefully, let's do a little prayer. So I like to say my prayers in a way that is more of a command or, an intention. So, Heavenly Father, Mother, God, Allah, whatever name that we choose to give to this entity, guide me in my words, guide me in my actions, guide me in my everyday, today affairs, that I may serve you and my highest potential and all of my brothers and sisters here throughout my life and throughout each moment of every day. I am grateful for this day. I am thankful for food, water, and shelter. I am eternally yours. I am truly your representative and agent, acting on your behalf to the best of my ability. Please remove my selfishness and my greed. I command my selfishness and greed to be removed, so that I may best serve you and channel your love into this place that we call the kingdom of heaven, the third dimension, third rock from the sun, the third plane of existence. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share your message with those out there listening, and may I do my absolute best to convey the message that I am doing my best to do, which is that of love, tolerance, acceptance, faith, strength, and hope. I am constantly attracting support. I'm constantly attracting your love. I'm constantly attracting your power. I am power. I am grateful. I am thankful. I am love. I am love. I am love. In your name, thank you. So I thought I would also, now that we had an opening prayer, go into, introducing myself. I'm Minister Nicholas, or Nicholas-Allen, of the Sullivan family. I have quite a story that maybe we'll get into here and there. That isn't really my goal. I wanted to read to you my statement of beliefs for my church. I am the church. I am the temple of God. I had a nativity, allegedly in 1985, in which I incarnated into this flesh, and I am a living soul, a spirit in flesh, which I will prove to anyone listening by way of the Bible. And, if you want that backed up by the legal system, Public Law 97-280 codified the Bible, as this is a Christian nation, as law. So it isn't a book of religion, it is a book of law, law meaning land, air, and water, the three main jurisdictions that operate here. And land is common law, air is trust law, celestial law, and water is the law of the sea, of commerce. And for all of you interested, look where the high water mark is on the land known as America, and it is in the Rockies. So, we're all technically underwater, lost at sea, and I am going to be getting into, the spiritual side, hopefully, to bridge the spiritual and the commercial realms a little better for anyone that is interested or listening. I also always want to give credit where credit is due. God sent us here on credit. And I'm going to do my best to pay that back. And eventually we all will pay the ultimate debt with this dead meat sack we call a body, that I am the agent for, that I am operating through in order to bring this message to all of you. And, I want to shout out to I Self-Law Am Master, James Lovett, Jack McKeag from the the school he runs is Liberty Aid Academy. I'm not getting paid for any of these advertisements, we'll call them, or I really just want to give thanks to the teachers that have taught me. David Straight, whether he's there's always take the good with the bad, take what you want, leave the rest, see what speaks to you. There's going to be things that don't vibe with you. For me, coming out of this vessel that we call Nicholas, Marty Leeds, David Weiss. I don't know if I said James Lovett. I hope I did. He's one of the bigger ones for me. Yusuf L. One Stupid F is a newer one that I've been going through his course. Paths to Freedom, The People's Remedy, Mansa. I can go on and on. There's so many great teachers out here. There's so many great individuals, well, let's say living souls. Again, I want to use, precision of language the best I can, not to create any confusion for anyone watching this. So I think that's about everyone, and hopefully as I go through these days, I will continue to share with you different people I come across that the servant king Marcus. So the highest, he says the highest we can hope to attain here, the highest status is a servant of God, a king amongst men. So we are servant kings as Christ was. I'm not going to debate about Christ, whether he lived or didn't. I do have a feeling he did and was a man, that came along in the past. and served a certain position here, a role here. And, I'm comfortable with that. I fought it a lot of my life. I don't prescribe to the notion he was the only Son of God. I really enjoy the Islam mentality about Christ, a wonderful prophet, one of the greatest, along with Buddha, Moses, Muhammad, Krishna, any of these individuals who came and shared their love and had an open heart and overcame the mind prison. A lot of people say our minds are in prison, and I don't prescribe to that notion. I prescribe to the notion that our minds are the prisoner, which is why they do their best to control us using our minds, using a thing called television or media. Medea was the Greek goddess of illusion. Back to the Greeks, person on stage was your persona, the mask you wore, that you took on that persona on stage. That was the being you were behaving as for that time. And so we can choose to be any kind of a person we want with whatever guidelines we choose. We can create our own mask, our own person. That's where trusts come into play. Trust, again, is the ultimate law here. It supersedes all law. Contract law is directly, I would say, let's say below it, because it is contract law. It is just the ultimate contract. Trustee, beneficiary, and guarantor, grantor, God. God owns it. We're giving it back to God. We're acknowledging we can own nothing. We possess nothing. We are no longer possessed by any material anything. We are not of this world. Okay, we are in it, not of it. We are here as soldiers to use our souls to die for God, as the representation of the story of that is Christ. And actually, I've come across recently that there was Bible translations earlier on that didn't even have a crucifixion story at all. So, I've just started looking into that. I won't get into that too much. I do want to, like I had said previously, get into the Exhibit A Statement of Beliefs part of my bylaws for my church. There's a lot of debate about 501c3, 508c1a. What kind of church are you running? Unincorporated, incorporated. I am running an incorporated on the state level church, and if you really comprehend the IRCs, the Internal Revenue Codes, then you will know that all churches are 508c1as, just some follow the advice of an attorney, a torn, to tear away from your power, or tear away from God. I'm not an attorney. I am I'll go as far as to say I'm doing my best to become the best lawyer I can be, someone who has practiced in law. We all have that right. And we are not all attorneys, which are bar registered and oath taken to a foreign entity. I am at this point, I would say a Native American. I'm not of the original people here. My ancestry does go back to the Mayflower Compact, and that therefore supersedes any of the current laws or legal system or regulations and rules here. The reason they swear on the Bible in the court system is that it is a book of law. It is not a book of religion. It is not even called that anywhere ever. It is implied maybe or presented in that way sometimes. It is not, however, a book of religion. It is the law. The Torah is known as the law, and that's it. Like that, if you want your remedy, you don't really have to go much further than the Bible. And I'm not saying man didn't write it. I really don't know how that all happened. I just know it's here now, and it is utilized as a book of law. All the legal system, all the regulations, codes, they all come from that book. So if you want your remedy, if you want to be, quote-unquote free of man and their alleged presumed power over your vessel, which is pledged as surety for the birth certificate account, which, again, we'll get into as these videos progress, then you'll use the Bible to do so and create a different person to operate through, and maybe correct some of the persons that we operate as in commerce, say the driver's license, say the passport person. They're all different persons. So that being said, the statement of beliefs for the Living Mystery Church. Our main purpose is to help any and all who ask to find their spiritual path, regardless of race, gender, background, national origin, ethnicity, culture, or other church affiliations. We believe in one God, one source, and respect the power of prayer. We also respect and value those who do not believe in God, and those who get their answers through means other than prayer. We believe that all men and women should be given the opportunity to become useful, living souls, do meaningful work, encourage and help others to find their purpose, and achieve a healthy self-image. We believe in allowing and encouraging individual responsibility for spiritual growth. Again, I am just the messenger. Don't kill the messenger. We respect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights of the United States of America, and or for America. That's another way someone might look at that. We also respect the governments of the other peaceful nations in which some of our members reside. The Living Mystery Church, Inc. recognizes that it cannot and does not desire to bind the conscience of individuals in any way whatsoever. Rather, each believer is to be led by their own inner moral code and the highest power and spirit of life within every body, to whom he or she alone is ultimately responsible. The statement of beliefs is an accurate summary of what we believe. God is unknowable and inconceivable. The more we question life and creation, the more we realize we do not know. Life cannot be explained, nor can the stars, the sun, the moon, the cycles, or any part of nature, only observed and witnessed. No man or woman can explain or answer the existential questions of the point of life, what we are doing here, and how this all came to be. At best, we can only discuss theories based on thoughts, experiences, and observations. Life is a series of experiences that lead to the next experiences and opportunities for growth into unknown experiences, also known as, and not limited to, karma, the force, the spirit, and the law of cause and effect. There are 7 natural principles of the universe: the law of mentalism, the law of correspondence, the law of vibration, the law of polarity, the law of rhythm, the law of cause and effect, the law of gender. All truth lies within, and so we must follow our inner guide and experience our own life story on our terms, for better or for worse. That's perspective. That was a side note. Judgment is left only for God and to no man or woman on the earth. We can only do what we feel it is we need to do for our own mission in life at any given moment. All aspects of life can be seen as good and bad, and or bad, evil and good, dark and light. The perspective of how it is interpreted can only be seen by the one experiencing the experience, and can change at any time based on new information. Sometimes actions seemed as bad can also be seen as good from another perspective, as perceived pain often leads to great awakenings and revelations. Responsibility must be taken for one's choices through life, and the truth that only we can determine how we perceive our life as happening for us and to us is our own mental choice. Service to others and sharing our testimony and experience honestly and openly is the path we live to obtain the feeling of living a fulfilling and holy life. Whole energy, holy. Anything is possible through God that is limitless and unable to be comprehended. Dogma is the death of the living spirit. However, experiencing living in a dogmatic way can be the very experience that allows someone to be willing to be free from the known. Again, proving that on some level there is no good or bad, only what we choose to learn from each moment as we progress through our story. This is not to say there is not evil here, only that it may be a necessary part of the experience in this realm. The ultimate goal is to be free, fluid, and open mentally, physically, and spiritually to whatever comes into our life, to allow the space for all beings on the planet to experience what they need to in order to recognize their connection with the highest self, aka God. The truth must be lived and experienced, otherwise it is hearsay and speculation. Since life/God are unable to be fully explained, the most logical way to live is in total faith, surrender, and acceptance, acting as one feels called to act, and then assessing, learning, and growing from our own experiences. We do not judge an act as right or wrong, bad or good, only as a necessary part of one's own journey and growth. There can always be a perceived upside and downside to any experience. We focus on what can be learned. There is a designer or a divine design to all, as evidenced by the divine mathematics found in all nature, also known as the Fibonacci sequence and other names. Our bodies are borrowed from the land and are of the land, and they will return to the land. We are incarnated on credit and will pay the debt. There is no way to live without causing harm in someone's perspective. Even a tree may seem to be harmed by the very act of our breathing. Every step we take may hurt a blade of grass. It is our intention that matters, and the only action for which we can take responsibility. We seek only to stay connected with God mentally, physically, and spiritually in all that we do. If our intentions are that, then we shall not be judged or held accountable for any perceived harm. We do not ever intend to harm anyone or anything, only to do our best to survive and to love in all that we do and always defend ourselves and our offspring however it is necessary to do so. We never condone acting in a way toward another living soul against their consent. There is a give and take in all interaction and life, as can be witnessed through the simple act of breathing. We acknowledge language is limited, and what we attempt to convey in these statements may not be fully clear, and is the main reason we hold living testament in the now to do our best to assist one another in comprehension of the truth. Holy books are used as a reference and guide to assist in bringing forth heaven to earth. We are the channels through which God achieves this goal. Our bodies are a temple of God / the living Spirit. God is for each of us to define. There is no way, excuse me. There we go. There is no way to own or possess anyone or any object. We are merely caretakers here on credit, and we will pay back our debt with our bodies. Let us use our incarnated time wisely. Do not blame or speculate on death as if one can know for sure this or that would perish the body. They may have acted differently if they did know. You just can never know is the truth. What heals one kills another. So we just do our best in any given situation. No hard feelings, no regrets. The truth is, no one really ever knows anything for sure, even if they think they do. We are all just doing our job, perhaps, whether we realize it or not, and so to live in the way of judgment or regret is to be ungrateful. Our mind and body are far more powerful than most souls think. This may all be a training place to reach our highest potential and prove our faithfulness and trustworthiness to self. To thine own self be true. God is the only master and sovereign. We make agreements / contracts with other men and women / living souls. We do not kowtow or blindly obey orders of men or living souls. We seek only to live in faith with God as the master of all. Peace comes through acceptance. Faith without works is dead. Action to help our fellow man and women, living souls, includes and is not limited to holding prayer circles, drum circles, open Discord circles, meditation gatherings, nature walks, nature talks, pipe ceremonies, sweat lodge sermons, testimony, laying of hands, education sessions, yoga, breathwork, dances, guidance to create vision boards, and generally living with God in mind and acknowledging the power of the mind and heart, and the sacredness of every moment and experience. This is to live connected to God and removing the illusion of disconnection from God in our minds, hearts, and bodies. It is not about saving others per se, only saving/awakening our own self, which guides the others by example to do the same if they choose, and acknowledging the possibility we do not need saving, as all is exactly as God, the Creator, intends. We are simply experiencing life. True freedom lives in unknowing and accepting that life is change, and in that limitlessness, anything is possible. It removes all illusion of separation from our brothers and sisters on earth and allows us to connect in similarity rather than divide through dogmatic beliefs. Judgment and a dogmatic way of living and mindset lead to the illusion of separation, while the goal is to commune with all beings on earth. Christ, Buddha, Krishna, Moses, Mohammed, and many of the ascended masters taught from their inner self and own experiences and didn't write anything down. This is the method we find the most effective, valuable, and authentic. We therefore do not prescribe to teaching or learning from any one specific book or philosophy or man or woman/living soul. We do hold it true that there is one source, God, force, creator, divine design, and so on. Growing pains can lead to great learning, so even though it may seem like others are against us, it can also be perceived as some of the greatest form of love in order to help us grow closer to God. The victim mindset of perceiving others to be against us as relevant to our experience is to depower and limit our highest, unlimited selves. The only one, therefore, that can ever truly be against us is our self. All ways and paths of life ultimately lead to God. This is inescapable, as God is the all and the creator of so-called good and evil, life and death, creation and destruction, Christ and the devil, as we all learn and grow differently in order to awaken to our connection with God. Some learn from perceived evil/pain more than perceived good/pleasure, and it is therefore maybe all necessary, rather than good or bad. It is not possible to truly know the afterlife. God is not to be understood or solved, only to be accepted, witnessed, and loved. One can only, at best, know what they need to do along the way of their journey and what they have done. One cannot know what others need to do. We can only offer guidance based on our own observations and experiences and share what we have done, nothing more. Spirit is breath. Develop a relationship with your breath, and you develop a relationship with God. We believe the Creator, Great Mystery, God, Great Spirit, has made all of us free men and women, living souls, and equal sacred beings. We recognize our inherent ancestral sovereign rights granted to all people by the Creator, human conscience, international law, Canaan law, universal law, and legal constructs of reciprocity and mutuality, which cannot be diminished or extinguished. We believe all life is sacred. We are all one people. We are all one tribe. We are all one. We derive from Mother Earth and Father Sky. We are the indigenous people who come from the land, and descendants of the indigenous people who lived on the land. We are the literal descendants of the indigenous people of the entire planet we call our Mother Earth. We claim the right to form this earth-based religious church nation called the Living Mystery Church, Inc. This religious entity is based upon the 7 teachings, which are love, respect, honesty, bravery, humility, truth, and wisdom. These ancient teachings have been passed down to us through oral traditions, customs, sacred ceremonies, and record-keeping, which have been guarded through the ages by our ancestors. We are all related, and we are all children of the same Creator. We invoke our right to the free exercise of religion and spiritual practice. We claim our right to ensure access to sacred sites, use and possession of sacred objects, sacred plants, and the freedom to worship through ceremonies and traditional rites. The fundamentals of our traditions are, as children of the Creator, we are entitled to the freedoms of thought, religion, education, assembly, opinion, speech, movement, our sacred rites of worship and methods of healing, our traditional lifestyle and security within our historical territories, insofar as that freedom does not prevent others from likewise enjoying the same freedoms. As children of God, we are endowed with the intelligence to govern ourselves in such a manner as to guarantee to ourselves these freedoms, to establish just and right ways to deal with each other, to maintain a tranquil and secure domestic life, provide for defense of these rights when needed, and to ensure for ourselves and our posterity the blessings that our culture, traditions, and teachings bring. We exercise our right of self-determination, which has been guaranteed by international and domestic law, to form the Living Mystery Church, Inc., comprised of individuals whom the Church shall see fit to admit by the exercise of our religion and the administration of our cultural traditions and institutions, whom we recognize as our people, founded upon the customs, traditions, principles, religion, governance, and belief systems cited herein, and we ordain and establish this Constitution for the Living Mystery Church, Inc., as a religious group / organization, association, convention. We at the Living Mystery Church, Inc. are a non-denominational church that believes that we are all spirits in bodies, seeking and discovering our own personal truth in our own unique way. For many of us, that truth is found through and not limited to Jesus Christ, Buddha, nature, the divine, and many other ways. For a large number of our members, truth is found through pagan gods and goddesses, while still others find their truth through examining life and the experiences we all have. All of these paths and more are welcomed and explored. We value all the viewpoints of our ministers and congregation, however varied and controversial they might be. We believe in religious freedom, as long as it does not infringe on the rights of others and is within the law. We welcome any who seek truth, wisdom, and tolerance. We use teaching material from a variety of sources, the Bible included, as wisdom is found in many places and people each hear it in different ways. Through our congregation, we explore many faiths and belief systems and seek to understand the universal truths that each of these contain. These beliefs, perspectives, are not to serve as dogmatic notions, rather ideas that may change over time based on new information. All of life is a work in progress, and to act as if any one of us know for certain would be to act as the Creator, which we are not. We are simply beings with infinite spiritual potential. Teach peace, teach peace, teach peace. I hope you got something out of my statement of beliefs that I wrote for this temple. It is what I do my best to strive to live by. We will cover, hopefully, many topics throughout our time together. I do pray that this really takes off and people really vibe with what I have to say, what messages come through my channel known as Nicholas Allen, Nicholas Dash Allen, Sullivan, or of the Sullivan family. I am done hiding. I am done, being careful or in any way fearful. I like the idea that fear and faith cannot live in the same house, and I know God has sent me here on a mission to help awaken the masses. I read the Bible as much as I can, as often as I can. It isn't something I think is the end-all be-all by any means. However, it is a very telling and powerful and educational book. And one thing I do want to say during this, and make sure as part of my first episode, and maybe others as well, which we may get into more, is God created the heaven and the earth, the earth, within 7 days, and rested actually within 6 days, and rested on the seventh, according to Genesis. And I could read the book of Genesis, of course, with you, and we may do that at some point. However, I do want to read this one passage that is, to me, potentially the most powerful in this book. One of the most powerful in this book for me, for my own journey here. And that is this. Genesis chapter 2. Everything's created already, okay? And I'm going to start with 5. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the earth. 7. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, that's the body, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. We do not have a birth. We were not born. We are incarnated in flesh. Christ had a nativity. We need to rise our vibration, rise our knowledge, remove the mental prison that is limiting our heart and our soul. We need to unlearn these limiting beliefs. I'm always speaking for myself when I'm speaking, and if others hear me, vibe with that, I'm grateful. If not, that's okay. We are not always going to agree. We are given the power of discernment for our own journey. There is not one way, one path, that's going to take each of us to where we need to go. That is the beauty of this place. That is the beauty of diversity, of all these different forms of God. We are representatives of God. We are made. Let us make man in our image, in our likeness. Why is that plural? I think about these things, and it occurs to me that the highest status I can hold is to be a living soul. To call myself a living soul, to identify as that. Identity means sameness of being. And so when we hand this plastic photo card that identifies us as a commercial entity that was created and made by the state, the original title is held by the state, we are allowing the state to be God for us, rather than God itself, himself, herself. And I think that is to limit our very self. And I'm not here for that. I'm not here to be told what to do. I'm not saying I don't wear a seatbelt. I'm saying I don't know how they can tell me I have to. And I don't think that's the case once we free our minds in order to free our souls. Our mind is where dreams go to die and are created. Our imagination. We create this image in our mind, and that is why television is utilized to limit what is possible and what is not. And I assure you, some of the miracles I've seen in my own life would negate many of the things that we are being shown as possible or impossible. I do prescribe to the notion that maybe we can fly. I'm not sure. I could explain that in my own way, and that is a theory. I've never flown. I've never seen anybody fly. I just have a strong heart feeling that it's possible. I think there's a lot of things that are possible that we currently don't think are. And my hope, my prayer, my intention is to get as many of us as powerful as possible in order to no longer be operating as slaves with middlemen to God, to reconnect our own selves directly to Source, to know that Christ is an archetypal story that is to show us our own potential. And although even in those stories they've done their best to edit out, at the Council of Nicaea, what we were allowed to see, what we weren't, to make it seem like that was only for that one man. I don't think that's the case. That's not what my heart says. My heart says, I can do anything Christ did. I can heal with my hands. I can maybe walk on water. I just don't know how yet. And hopefully we can all learn together and continue this journey of awakening. I'm not woke, I'm awakened. And I keep awakening more each day, knowing that this is the dream space, and I am of the Creator, and therefore given the power to manipulate energy, manipulate the creation. I cannot create something out of nothing, so that shows me I'm not the creator. I didn't make a fern to be a perfect Fibonacci sequence. I didn't make myself. I didn't make my mother, nor did she. So that means there must have been a beginning, a source. And to me, that's all I need, and you're welcome to be agnostic, atheist. I just challenge you to consider the idea that God isn't what a lot of us are being told it is, or he is, or she is, necessarily. I feel that there's a lot more there, that it was never intended to be a limiting belief system. It is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, beyond our conception or our imagination, something we can't conceptualize in our mind. Our mind is limited. Our soul is limitless. So the more the control mental, the mind, control our thoughts, the more they can do that, or it can be done, that we allow it. I don't even like to speak in a way that victimizes myself. I allow these things. I consent to these contracts. I consent to these beliefs. And they're not knowledge. They're not truth. They are just where I'm at in my life at any given time and what I prescribe to consent to. And the more I, move on in my life and awaken the best I can, the more I can awaken to the idea that I am of something that is limitless. And I can only present myself. I can't represent myself. I represent God. I represent God. I am a reflection of the source. I am a reflection of life itself. And, I do want to mention that, to me, I've thought a lot about death. I've had a lot of that in my life, what we call death, in one form or another. And, for me, death is an illusion. When a tree falls and we call it dead, is it really dead? It's got all these microorganisms that are still moving around, that are still, quote unquote alive, fungus and so on, that now it's become food. So is it really dead, or is it just changed form? Energy cannot be lost or gained, it can only change form. I obviously do go off on tangents. Get used to it. I'm okay with it. However God needs to speak through me, he or she or it will. I'm not here necessarily for anyone except self. I can't keep hiding. I can't keep avoiding technology. While I can, I just don't feel like I'm doing a service to my Creator with the gifts I've been given, with the messages I've received, and I do on a regular basis. I hope to have this more interactive in the future. I tend to do better when people ask me questions and then answers flood through my vessel, and I just start talking about the spells happening. Why do they call it spelling? They don't really hide anything. We're the ones hiding. We're the ones living in fear. Our deepest fear is not our light, it is our darkness. It is not our darkness, it is our light that most frightens us. That's the beginning of a poem by Mariam Williamson. It hangs in my abode. And it's something I read mostly every day. Because it's so true. Most people are truly afraid of responsibility and how powerful they really are, and we just hide and we make excuses and we victimize each other and ourselves and poor me and sorry this. I'm not sorry. I teach my progeny not to say sorry. If we do something intentionally destructive, we do our best to ask for forgiveness. Hope we learned from it and experienced something that helped us along the way. We do our best to do no harm. However, we take no guff, I'll use that word, from others. Respect is number one to me, and I do my best to respect others while continuing to respect myself in my journey. And of course, we're going to butt heads here and there and have issues at times. It's something we really need to start learning to deal with and handle in a more mature way. Babylon, babies babble on for the length of their life. Length. So we really need to grow up. A lot of people are just children or babies in adult bodies. Most of us were not raised to be adults, taking responsibility fully. It is a scary place to be for a lot of people, of knowing that every single thing in our life is our fault, is our responsibility, is our doing, is our making. We could change our lives overnight. We can, just through the power of prayer and manifestation and knowing that we can manipulate energy, we can attract our wildest dreams, So I pray that for all of you. I hope this was helpful, informative, and a good introductory video to what this Living Mystery Church hopes to attain, hopes to share, hopes to contribute to the world, to the earth, to all of my brothers and sisters here, to all of God's children. I am a son of God, as was Christ, as are you. Or daughter. When I say son, I mean daughter. When I say God, I mean the Creator, the Source, and so on. Don't take any gender-specific message as I'm only talking to men or only talking to women. I'm talking to all living souls. Do not limit ourselves with these labels and boxes. I don't really like that. I don't prescribe to being a label or a box. Thou shalt not make graven images. And the way I take that is don't live in dogmatic ways. I'm always able to change. Just because I might have been a thief yesterday doesn't mean I didn't learn from that and that didn't hurt my heart and teach me not to be a thief today. So how can you judge me on my past experiences if I've learned from them? And how can I learn from them if no one shows me forgiveness and grace? And of course I need to do the same for others, and these are aspirations that we all I hope to live by and attain permanently in my way of being. I just want to share our vision is inspiring people to be who God created them to be, helping them through education and open discord to find their place, develop their faith, and live their potential, teaching people to accept that God and creation are unable to be explained. If we can get comfortable in the uncomfortable, when trees are growing, they're always growing into unknown spaces. Otherwise, they're not growing at all. And so if I'm feeling totally at home and not lost at least a little bit, then am I really growing into a new space? Am I really getting closer to God, to the Creator? Am I really expanding if I'm so comfortable, if I'm so at ease, And I do pray for ease and comfort sometimes, and maybe I need to consider that. I'm constantly doing my best to be considerate of myself, of my thoughts, of others, of my behaviors, and to do better, to be more open, more loving. And, if we can truly accept that God is unknowable and the unknown is one of the most powerful spaces to live, then that's where limitlessness is. That's where nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. No thing, no behavior, no possibility is impossible. So I think that's a pretty good first sermon, good first sharing, and I look forward to comment section. I look forward to feedback. If you vibe with this, if you don't, share it. I'm okay with it. I can handle it. I'm a grown living soul the best I can be. We're going to get into Manly P. Hall. We're going to get into occult wisdom. We're going to get into trust law. I will do my best to separate these things into separate recordings. I'm not able to do live recordings yet. However, I'm not an editor. I'm not going to edit things. Some of these may come across very odd or broken or weird. I dropped the phone during this, and I'm not going to edit it out because I am someone who has faults and makes mistakes, as we call them. However, isn't that just another opportunity for growth, opportunity for learning, to show true humility? And humility is the idea that we are all, no one is above or below anyone or anything. We're all on this journey doing our best. I don't prescribe to being humble. I don't walk with my head down in shame as I did at times in my life. I feel I deserve a good life, as I feel most of us do. And if you don't feel that way, then you won't have one, you know. And I have to tell you, I have one of the best lives of anyone I know. You know, I get to do pretty much what I want when I want to some extent. And I'm getting closer to that every day. And I'm learning to tap into the infinite credit God sent me here through the commercial game. That's all it is a game of Monopoly in real life. A circus where they give out raffle tickets that are promises to pay. And they get to decide how many raffle tickets it takes at any given day to get gas, to get bread, to get this, to get that. So I do prescribe to the notion of gaining as close to independence, interdependence as possible, and interdependence, interdependence, meaning, you know, to depend on my fellow brothers and sisters. You know, maybe I'm the bread maker, maybe you're the potato grower, and so on. So, you know, I don't know exactly how everyone's supposed to live. I just know that I'm doing my best to be the best I can be, the most loving I can be, the most tolerant I can be, the most level-headed and balanced I can be, the holiest, whole energy balance that I can be. And I will go to extremes again in my life at different moments, and I will do my best to always ask for forgiveness and to share how I intend to do better, and to do that in behavior to prove that the best I can. So thank you so much for joining me, for watching this video, for listening. You know, some hopefully will be less time, some may be more time. Listen on double speed if you can. I listen to a lot of stuff on double speed. You can train your mind and you can really take in a lot of information. Let's free ourselves, let's free our minds, let's free our souls and our hearts. Let's love and live heart forward. One of my favorite shows growing up was the Care Bears, and I definitely do my best to consider myself one of them, you know, to let the Care Bear stare happen, you know, to live heart forward, fully authentic. This is who I am, you know, and sometimes that's gotten me in trouble, and sometimes that gets me a lot of love and support. I openly share with as many as I can. I don't often ask for financial support. However, it is certainly welcome, and you know, I'm grateful for any donations and gifts and offerings and tithes I receive as a temple. Look into your legal system. Look into, you know, we're all operating in economics and commerce, and we don't know economics and commerce. You know, we don't know the legal system. It's like playing a board game and trusting me to tell you all the rules. Like, I am not just someone that wants to win, you know, and I may not be that kind of guy, but most people are, you know, from what I've seen, and that's okay. That's not a judgment call. They want to feed their kids. They want to feed their family. Nobody wants to starve. So if you're going to trust someone you have no reason to trust to read you the rules and not maybe leave something out here and there, and you don't want to take the time to read the rules yourself, well, you may lose that game. You know, you may not do well in it. So please do your best to take time, at least a few times a week, to read some of the IRCs, the, you know, Internal Revenue Codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, the United States Codes, the Code of Federal Regulations. You know, do what you can to educate yourself. Knowledge is power. My people are enslaved for a lack of knowledge, and we are of heaven. We are of spirit. So stop identifying as this meat sack that we embody, that we are inside of. You know, I live in my body. I don't live anywhere else. I live in my body. I'm a living soul. I am a king. I am a lowercase g God, according to Psalms. And, you know, I do my best to acknowledge that and take that responsibility. And that's it, you know. So, you know, do your best. Be good. The best, you know, good, bad. Be the best you can be at any given time. Be love. I love you all. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for taking your time. Time is the ultimate currency. It is really the only valuable thing because we won't ever get it back. So I really, really appreciate your time, your energy, your attention, and you know, that's what all this is about. Again, any donations are welcome. They're on my webpage, thelivingmysterychurch.com, thelivingmysterychurch, all one word, .com. And I look forward to the next time I make a video and see your comments and we interact. And I hope to meet you along my way and in my journey. And hopefully we can help each other become more expanded and more one than we were the moment before that. Peace.